Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back.
We're in round two, um, and it has just started. Or what do you see, Gabe?
Right now, what I see is I don't really know if I like the double stack pawns on the king file. Leaves it a little bit open towards a threat. I like the bishop move to threaten the queen, but it can also be blocked by one of his knights, by one of the opposing knights, or put a pawn push.
Well, he'll have to do one of them because otherwise he might be losing his queen. The knight is protecting the bishop, and he found a move, very good move. He blocked the attack of the knight on the queen with his knight.
Now I like that move better than the pawn push because if he were to push the pawn, he wouldn't be able to have a great pawn structure.
Yeah, yeah.
So
If this f pawn moves, then the king opens up on this diagonal, and bad things can happen. Okay, I
yeah.
think Black found a great move, b5, and this is essentially trapping the bishop with his pawn, and his pawn is protected. So I think Black is going to win a bishop there. Do you see a way for White to defend this?
No, it's looking pretty unlikely. His best bet is to take the pawn and go down 2 points.
Uh-oh, he moved his knight to protect the bishop, but when he did that, and there you go.
Open up the
Very,
file.
very good play by Black. Alright, the game goes on. Black is taking a lot of pieces now. Alright, White is taking back the pawn and is playing quickly. You'll need a bit of a miracle though to get back into this game. Let's take a look at Design against Jishan. That looks like a very good game actually.
Yes, indeed. While he did, Jazan did just take the opponent's knight. It is also protected by his bishop.
Uh-oh, that was a big move. We should have recaptured that piece, but now the bishop just keeps going on a rampage. And I also see something going on this e-file where the king and queen are lined up. So if Design finds that he can move his rook to that file, then the queen is going to be pinned and he's going to lose some material there. Let's see if he finds it. It's not an easy move. Like a rook string. Okay, you played a pretty safe move. You just said, well, let me just retreat that bishop. It took all those points. It's done its job. Let's bring him back home.
Yeah.
And now they go on a fight here on a5.
Looking to gain an open file for that D pawn to continue.
The b-pawn is getting very close to the end of the board. And when a pawn gets to the end,
Here goes the rook pin with the queen and the king.
oh, he found a move. He found that move. It's a big move. Now black, well, what should he do? Maybe he can just give up his knight and jump in there. But you see all those white pieces are ready to take down the knight. And then black still has to find a way to get his king and queen safe. I think
White is
this is
great.
looking pretty good for design here.
Indeed, it is.
Let's see one more move. See if Deshaun finds somewhat of a. Oh, he found the best defense. Very good. He put the knight in between the rook and the queen, and now very good move as well. He just takes that knight. Now he can take back. Oh well, or with the bishop attacking the rook. This is not looking good for black. Let's see a few more moves. See if black manages to keep his queen alive. What do you think? Is he going to keep his queen alive?
I don't really see anything for his queen to be able to move and stay alive as he just moved his bishop out of the
Uh,
way, and
yeah.
now the queen
So
is captured.
Jason is on his way to win this game, I think. Let's look at Javius against Brandon. Wow, this is I think the first time I've seen any of the high school students play an endgame. So an endgame is a position where both sides have traded their queens, or maybe both lost their queens, but either way, the queens are off the board. And that means that the kings are suddenly a lot safer because the queen is really the enemy of the king. And it might mean that you need to get one of your pawns across to get a new queen, which in this position is going to take a while because all these pawns, they're blocking each other and there's just no clear path for any pawns to get to the other side. So now you have to really try to use your smaller pieces to win a pawn or something like that and then get a pawn across.
Yes. Now, while I'm looking at this board, I like Javius's position better as he is castled. With black, he's a little bit more open. His pawn structure isn't really stable, and he hasn't castled this yet. His pieces are only on the second and third rank. I like how white has his pieces more developed and affirmative in action.
Yeah, this is
So
actually something you touch upon something very important, and that's something even very strong players actually don't realize. Um, when the queen's off the board, the kings actually don't need to be castled anymore, because the reason to castle is just to get the king out of the way in the middle of the board, away from enemy queens or enemy queen. But once the queens are gone, the kings should really try to become an aggressive piece. They can start to fight for themselves. So for example, this black king should probably just walk towards the middle of the board, and this white king should try to be somewhere over here in the middle of the game. So the castling doesn't really matter so much anymore just because the queens are off the board. And you know, they say when oh, hold on, I see a rook being put on a square where it can get taken, and Brandon takes it.
they can.
That's bad news for Javius because that rook was very important. We'll see if he'll make a comeback, but I would say that he's in big trouble now. So let's go quickly back to design against Jay Sean, and what happened here? Oh my! We
Let's
thought
see.
that design was going to win this game, but he didn't. Oh, we'll take a look after the other games are done. We'll take a quick look at that game, see what happened. Design was looking very good, but he got checkmated somehow. Let's go back to Michael against Mojab. What do you
Now,
think? How long is the White King going to survive this?
um, I think he. Oh, with that rook move now, if he captures the pawn on b4, he has discover check.
Alright, so yeah, he played a good move. He moved the rook to the file of the king. And that file is going to be opened up now. This pawn is going to take something, and the rook is going to check. Well,
Correct.
did this. Oh, he's using the other pawn to take. Okay, not bad either. This king is in a lot of trouble because there's not that many pieces helping him, and black is just very close with his big pieces.
Hopefully, he can get his queen on that third rank and get in there
Yeah,
close.
problem is he can't just yet because white has it protected.
Yeah.
But yeah, he needs to get his queen close to the white king. Maybe he
Um,
can.
Nighttime can also capture the knight on g5 with a pawn, and
Uh-huh.
then go to make that queen
That's
attack
a
on
very good
the
idea. Just get rid of that knight, and then the queen can come to the third rank, this rank, and start going after the white king. I think black has a lot of good moves in this position. Actually, that might be his problem. He's just got too many good moves. Sometimes, and oh, he chose your idea, but he didn't first take the knight. Big
Oh,
moment.
very risky move. Very risky.
All right, he got away with it. Now let's see if he moves the queen in closer to c3. Backed up by a pawn there. So if the queen moves there, it will be checking the king, and the king will be almost checkmated. There he goes. Very good move. Alright, the
Very.
white king has only two squares it can go to. Neither of them is looking very good, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Now, if I'm black, I'm getting that rook on the B file and trying to force the issue with that queen check.
Yeah, if this rook gets into the action, then I think the white king will be done. So you can try to go to the b file like you said and try to come in like this. You can also open the c file by taking the pawn and then joining the queen in the attack on this square. Michael did something else. He did something pretty good as well. He just starts using all his other rook. I think he wants to come down somewhere.
Apply more pressure.
Oh, well, there you go. I think we're going to see the check with the rook now.
Yes.
Yeah, he's playing very good. He's using almost all his pieces in the attack, and he's got more pieces. So the black white king is probably going to get mated very soon. There he goes. Let's see if he finds this mate. He did.
And
Alright,
check.
that was an impressive piece of play by Michael there. Let's quickly go back to JV's against Brandon. They're still playing. And what has happened? It's looking like a very good game still. So JVS did lose his rook last time we checked in. But he is using the pieces he still has left pretty good here. See how this rook is protected by the knight. He's trying to put some pressure.
I say his best bet is to get that knight on the A file and that bishop on the D file more active in the game. Maybe getting on open files as the bishop is being blocked at the moment.
Yeah, this knight is not doing anything in the game, so but it's going to be hard. Knights are pretty slow pieces, so before that one gets into the game, it's going to take a while. Actually,
yeah,
I really like this a5 move because this rook was ready to come down to the pawn, come down to the knight, come down to the king. It was just going to wreak havoc, but
and
now with
now
the
it's
pawn there protected by the knight, the rook is sort of cut out of the attack. So I
yes,
still really like white's play. Um, Also a very good move, although it's a double attack. But will Brandon see that he can take this pawn with his rook? He does.
he does.
Alright, I'm a little nervous about this king now. See, it's stuck on the back rank. And there's this pawn that takes away the escape square. So if this rook finds a way down to the back rank, that king is in some trouble. There's still a defense, blocking with the bishop, but that would be a very close call for the king.
Yes. Ooh.
I think
Uh,
JV is probably, well, that's an impressive move. I think he realized the trouble his king was in, and he decided to create an escape square for the king. Okay, let's see what he will come up with. I think I still, well, still not very pleasant, this rook coming down. Do you see what I see? If this king goes here, it's actually lining up with his rook, and that would allow the bishop to come here and check.
check.
But
Yes.
I think Javius just played a great move. He withdrew his knight, and now he's guarding the square again, so the bishop cannot come there. Well, great move by Banner as well. You see this rook? It's like the only dangerous piece to this black king, and now he's saying, you know what? You come take this rook, I'll take it back, and my king is going to be safe. I think that was one of the best moves of the game. Because now, you know, black is up this whole rook, and the more pieces white loses in trades, the lonelier the white king is going to get. And at some point, the black rook is going to get in the attack, and this white king is in trouble.
Now, if I'm black, I'm looking to capture that pawn on h4 and bring in my rook, and as well as get that other bishop more active. Maybe putting it on the a4 square after the knight moves.
Well, I think what he did was actually pretty good. He's backing up this pawn. Maybe he's trying to get his rook active like this. So we open up the 7th rank, so the rook can come to the open b file and try to get back. Alright, I think he's going to go after the knight. Let's see, the knights in corners are usually not so happy because they have only 2 ways out of a corner. And they can easily get trapped, but he brought back his knight immediately. What do you think? Is Brandon going to be able to do it in time? Because he's got only 1 minute left to play the rest of the game. So he has a checkmate white using only 1 minute of his time.
Uh, I don't think so.
You think he's
It's
gonna be not enough time to do, huh?
not enough time. It's very difficult to checkmate with a bishop and knight. So for him to have only 1 minute and execute it, I don't
I
think.
agree. That's not easy. And actually, Javius, I think, realizes what he's playing for. He's playing for time, and he starts getting his king already out of the way. He knew this rook was coming down to check soon, and he figured, you know what? I'm going to defend before it happens. There's actually a difficult word for that. It's called prophylaxis in chess, and it's defending to something that hasn't happened yet. And that's something all the great players do all the time. They defend against things that haven't even happened yet. So Javius just did that. Now his king is a little safer, and he goes back playing with his knight. And I think I have to agree because we're down to 30 seconds. 30 seconds for Brandon, and he has to hurry up. Yeah, you can play great moves and a great game, but then if you don't do it in the time you've got to do it, you might still end up losing the game.
Yes. And look at the Black King being aggressive against that knight, pushing it away into the corner, eliminating its moves.
He
So that was
thought
a
the
great
way out,
one.
but I think at this point, Javius doesn't care that much about his knight anymore, or his bishop, or his pawn, or his other pawn. He just wants to
Went on time.
win on time, and I think he's doing a good job. That's a pretty nice move. He's trying to check the king by moving that pawn up. Oh, great move. Check. I think it's gonna go down 9 seconds. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough call. Great game by Brandon,
Yeah, it's
but
a great
Javius
game.
is defending very well. And 4, 3, 2, 1. 1.9 seconds left, and he
Oh,
managed to pull one more move up, and that's it. Oh, this was actually, I think, one of the best games I've seen today. You can take a brief look. All the games finished. Jason won his game, Javius won his game, and Brandon won his game.
let's take a look at that Jay Sean comeback.
Alright, here we go. You can take
Yes.
it all the way from the beginning. Gabe, can you see when the next game is supposed to start at what time?
All right. Let you know.
Then we'll know how much time we have to look at these games, and you'll know when you should come back to see the next round. In the meantime, I'll start going through the opening of the game between Jason and Jason. It's a game where we thought Jason was doing extremely well, and then when we came back a few seconds later, all of a sudden, Jason has made a big comeback. Alright, let's
Yeah.
go from the beginning. White opens with the king's pawn to e4. That's a pretty good move. Opens the diagonal for the bishop. Opens the diagonal for the queen. And Jason plays an equally good move. Moves his king's pawn 2 squares. And a move I like a lot. He is hold on. Alright. The
John,
chess.com just logged me out.
I've just gotten word that the next round starts at 10:30.
At 10:30, so we have what, 20 minutes. Let me try to pull up that game again.
All right.
Let's see. Alright, I found a game. Just have to adjust the screen a little bit. Alright, I think I've got it. Alright, here we go, back to the beginning of the game. We went this far and Design played the queen spawn 2 squares. And that's a great move to play on the second turn because in 2 moves you've opened up both your bishops, your queen has been opened up, and you're fighting, you immediately start fighting for the center of the board. These 4 squares are the center of the board, and like in a big city, usually the center is where all the important things happen, all the activity, and that's where the pieces have the biggest influence on the board. If you have something in the middle of the board, it can look almost everywhere else on the board. But first you have to conquer it with pawns before you can put bigger pieces there. So here is what Jason did. He said, you know what you can do, I can do. And now we have 4 pawns in the middle of the board. Actually, this is what we call a nerve center. Whatever there's 4 pawns right in the middle of the board, it's called a nerve center of pretty much the whole game. So let's see. These pawns can take each other, or they can just ignore it and start developing pieces, which is what Design did. Okay, I like that move. Check. Here we have our first attack on the king. And I know yesterday in our class I was talking about attacks on the king a lot and how to defend against those. And usually when a king is attacked, you don't really want to move the king, but you want to block the attack. And that's what Design did. He blocked the attack with his pawn, so this king is now safe from the bishop, and the pawn has a lot of backup, so the bishop has to retreat. That was a great move. And you know what? The game, they're both using the same strategy. Now, white is attacking the black's king, and I think Jay Sean also was there for yesterday's lesson, and he said, you know what you can do, I can do. Let's block this check. And this pawn also attacks the bishop. So at this point, I think Design should have moved the bishop, but he played his pawn to b3 and allowed the bishop to be captured. Okay, black is up some points, but no big deal. He immediately took back a pawn and got this knight right into the middle of the board. And this knight is a very strong piece because it's looking the squares very close to the black king. Which clearly Jason didn't like at all, and he said, you know what, knight? You gotta move. You gotta get out of here. And the knight listened. Although here white actually had an option that is a little bit hidden. You can use his queen to attack the king. And then when the pawn says no, we're gonna block, you can use his knight to take that pawn. And the pawn takes back, and that opens up the path to the black rook. And now the black king is not very happy with this white queen so close by. But this is like a pretty high level type of trick. Design played the safe move. He retreated his knight. Okay, Jason developed this knight very good. These pieces on the back row, especially the bishops and knights, they need to come out pretty quickly because they're like, first you have your pawns, they're the small army, like the small soldiers, and they have to go out first. And then behind there you have to use the next bigger pieces that are the bishops and the knights. And then the rooks and the queen, they sort of stay behind a little bit usually until they see a good moment to pounce and come out. So I think both players are actually playing very good in this game because they're developing their bishops and knights. And in the meantime, Design has not done that so much, but he has these 2 pawns in the middle that are pretty good here. They're attacking a lot of squares that are close to the black king. And his last move was pretty good as well. He uses pawn and tries to attacks his b pawn and tries to take it next. Okay, Jishan took a pawn in the middle. Alright. And here we go. The assault of the pawns on the bishops and knights. I like it. Very good move by Jishan, retreating the bishop back to safety. And there goes one more pawn. So this is actually an interesting battle. You can see white is using a lot of pawn moves, and he's already won a bunch of pawns, and they're pretty good here in the middle of the board. And black has developed his two knights and bishop. So this is interesting battle. And here we have another attack on the king. So usually you'd like to block, but I'm not sure if Design should trade queens already at this point. I think he made a right decision and not trade queens and move this king to the side. So this king is getting pretty safe. It's behind these pawns. And the only problem is how this rook is going to get into the game. And that might actually be a problem later on. But let's see. Knight f4. That's a pretty good move. It's getting close to the white king. And it's protected, but I think, didn't we see already that it was taken later and white did not take back?
Yes.
What do you think about this next move, rook a2?
With rook a2, I believe he was just trying to get his other rook active since his other rook on g was stuck behind the king. I think it was a great move because of the fact that the queen was in front of the king and it would have been able to pin it if he had seen the move. So, I mean, I prefer to get my knights and bishops out before moving my rooks. But in this case, it was a very good move.
I think this is one of the best moves in the game. So yeah, you're right. Usually you want to develop the bishops and knights before you develop your rooks. But I think he actually spotted that if he gets a rook to this e-file, where the queen and king are lined up, a rook could do a lot of damage. And based on the rest of the game, I think he did actually move his rook there to get the rook there to that e-file. Which makes black's next move pretty interesting because he's using the knight to attack this square where the rook wants to go to. And white captured the knight, and now this rook can go again. So I think if black would have recaptured, which he probably should have, I think Design would have found this rook e2 and line up with the king and queen here. But because Jason actually ignored his bishop, Design thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep taking. Which is what he did. And I think this is sort of where we picked up the game. Black played pawn to b6, and Design retreated his bishop to safety. And after a pawn push and a pawn trade, that's when he moved that rook to the e-file. And at this point, Jishon did found the best move to block that file with his knight. And Design found the best move to take that knight. And after recapture, he recaptured with the bishop. And when the rook moved away from the attack, the bishop came back. And the rook opened up again to the king and queen. And you know, when this rook was maneuvering from a1 to a2 and then over to the e-file, black is now using a similar maneuver except to defend. He's using his rook up so that the rook can come in front of the king and defend it a little bit. I think this is when we left the game. So I'm curious to see how Jason managed to turn this around. Gabe, do you see a good move for white here? Let's see if we would be able to find a good way forward for white.
What I've seen so far is the bishop move to to d5. No, d6. I'm sorry.
Yeah, d6.
Pinning that pinning that rook as well. So if the other rook moves, he can take the other rook right next to the queen.
Yeah, this bishop is aiming at this rook in front, and then behind it on the same diagonal is the other rook. That pretty much means that black can no longer defend both his rooks. He can only move one rook at a time. The only thing he can choose is which rook does he want to give up for the bishop. This one or that one. Now, it's a good move because the bishop is worth 3 points and the rook is worth 5 points. So when white makes a move like this, he's guaranteeing that for the 3 points, he's going to get 5 back. I think this would have been the best move, and that would have probably been a move that would have won the game. What do you think about his move f4?
All right. So with f4, I don't know if I like that move due to the fact that the rook is beaming down right on that king in the f file, as well as his pawn will be able to take back that pawn that he just pushed and threaten his bishop as well.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you. It's this pawn when it's right when the king wants to be really safe, the best thing to have is to have at least one pawn right in front of you, in the square in front of you, so that no piece can land there, and the king can protect this pawn. And for a black piece to get through to the king on that file, it would have to capture this pawn. But when you move the pawn to f4, you open up a lot of space in front of this king, and also you're now risking that this f file gets opened up for the black rook, and the king is not happy on a file where an enemy rook or queen are sitting. So I completely agree. I think this was a dangerous move, and alright, I think Jason played a very interesting move. What do you think he's trying to do with that bishop d7 move?
with bishop d7, he's trying to come in and capture the pawn on b6, threatening the king with check, as well as gaining momentum in the play.
Yeah, so in this position, this bishop is not doing a whole lot yet. But when he moves it to d7, he's ready to take the pawn and start attacking the king. So I think that's a very good move. And actually, Design did see that because he made a move to defend against that. And he's using his queen to protect his pawn. And now we get to the end of the game, the critical moment where white lost his way. Black took that pawn, and he's actually threatening to take again and opening up this rook to the king. So white has to be very careful now, because black is threatening to checkmate white in one move, and he doesn't have that many ways to defend anymore. Do you see a way for white to defend this?
His best bet would be to retract his bishop to f2 and just protect it.
Yeah.
With,
so, like earlier I said, you want to have a pawn right in front of your king to shield it from enemy pieces and to be close to your king. So he moved that away, and then when this moment happened, he should have moved his bishop there. And if you don't have a pawn right in front of your king, you want another piece right in front of your king. And then white would still have been safe. Although, if you look at black's pieces, the ones that he has, they're actually very active and dangerous. So the game would not be over quite yet. In the game, Design took the pawn, and I think he missed that the rook would take it. And the bad news is that, for him at least, it's checkmate. This rook is aiming at the king, creating a check. And when you're in check, you have to get out of check on the very next turn. So, first of all, this rook cannot be taken. You see this queen is lined up. but there's a
But
pawn in between them. So you cannot take the rook, which means that you want to try to block, but no white piece can step in between the king and the rook. Pawns can only move forward and capture diagonal, but there's nothing to capture on this square. So there's no block, there's no capture of the rook. So the only way that you have left is run. And that's where the next problem arises. King can no longer run. If he wants to the e-file, black has a rook protecting those squares, and the pawn and rook are preventing the king from running to the g-file. So this is basically checkmate.
great game by Jashawn.
Yeah, I mean, he defended very well. I thought Design had a great idea of getting this rook from a1 over to the e-file and win black's queen. And then Jason responded by using his rook to defend the queen, and then later on he managed to get through to the white king. So this was a great game. Let's see, it's 7 more minutes until the start of the next round. Shall we look at another game?
Yeah.
Let's see. Who shall we look at? I think we have only time maybe to briefly look at one of the other games. You want to pick which player?
We
Make
can
a
look.
choice.
We can look at Brandon's game if we didn't look through it fully yet.
Let's see if I can find it. Okay, I think it was this game. It's Mojab. Ran was playing with black, and we actually saw the end of that game where the queen and the rook are working together to checkmate the white king. The rook is checking, and the queen is providing backup for the rook, and the queen is also making sure that this king cannot escape to any of those surrounding squares. So the end was actually very good. We can go back to the beginning of the game, see how it started. And I'm actually quite impressed with how they're playing the beginning of the game. Remember, these players, some of them have only learned the rules of the game of chess just a few weeks ago. And chess is not an easy game, but everyone can learn it. And the best way to get better is just to play a lot, and that's what these players are doing. They're playing a lot. And what do you think about the game so far?
I don't know if I like Black's movements of his knight. You don't really want to get that knight into the corner. It'll
Yeah,
look.
so I think there's a saying. Do you know the saying of the knight on the rim?
I believe so, but I forgot.
I think what I like to tell students is a knight on the rim is grim, and the reason why people are saying that is because when a knight is on the edge of the board, it can only look to 4 other squares from where it is. And if you look at white's move, the knight bringing to the middle of the board, that knight is looking to 8 different squares. So you could actually say that the white knight is now twice as strong as black's knight. So yeah, I agree with your assessment there.
Yes.
But other than that, I think black seems to be, he's now putting his pawns towards the middle of the board. That's looking pretty good. And we again see this early bishop check on this diagonal. And like I mentioned, yesterday's class, we talked quite a bit about blocking. And That's the defense Brandon used. He blocked the bishop check. Very good move. And white retreat his bishop from the attack of the pawn. And then black took a pawn right in the middle of the board. And he starts aiming at this knight. Do you know the name of that type of tactic, Gabe? When
Uh,
the piece moves out of the way?
discover check.
Discovered.
Discover attack.
Discovered attack. The queen suddenly attacks the knight even though it did not move. It didn't have to do anything. Just let the pawn do the dirty work and then the queen is ready to pounce. Those are very tricky attacks because usually when someone makes a move, especially when you play like on the board with real pieces, your opponent is always looking at what piece did you just move, where did it go to, and what it is doing, and it's usually not so easy to see what happens to other pieces then. Like you move a pawn, but the queen is now doing something, and you can see white missed it, but so did black. He did play a pretty good move though. He's now attacking the knight with his pawn, and the knight moved away. This is I think where we looked at the game, yeah?
Yes.
And what was the move again that white played?
I believe he brought his knight back.
Yeah, he used his knight to
Defend, yes.
block the attack on the queen. And black found another pretty good move. He trapped this bishop on a4 here. See, the bishop has no moves. It's surrounded by other pieces. And this pawn is ready to take it. And the pawn has some backup by another pawn. So I think you mentioned that white should probably just grab
Take.
one pawn for it, yeah?
Yes.
Alright. What would you have done next with white? Let's say you would have done that. What would you do here with white?
Honestly, I would be looking to push that D pawn, getting my bishop more active, as well as you can use the F pawn to threaten the bishop, although it can be taken right back. So I don't know if that's really a great move. Also, it's messing up your pawn structure for the castle. Um, so yeah, I would just look to develop at this moment, push that pawn up on the D file,
Uh-huh.
get the bishop out there, threatening that knight in the corner, as well as you can get it to the G file with a defender and threaten that queen.
What would you do about the king?
With the king, I would castle either king side, but if the structure is broken by one of his middle pawns, then I'll castle queen side.
So in this particular position, do you have a preference? Do you want to take some moves to try to castle queen side, or do you think it's better off just to go king side immediately?
Um, I think the better choice would be to go queen side so you can launch that attack on the king side. But if I were playing it, I would just play it safe, go king, and just try to get out all my pieces.
Yeah, so
Well.
this move is actually a very special move, where this is the only time in a game of chess where you're allowed to move two pieces at the same time in one turn. There's no other move in chess where you can do that, and it's called castling, and it's a move where you can move your king and rook in one turn. Basically, whenever the space between the king and rook has opened up and the knight and the bishop is gone, you can choose to move this king 2 squares towards the rook, and then automatically in the same turn the rook goes to the other side of the king. So
And
this is what we
Jan,
call.
I have just received word that round 3 is starting.
All right. So we'll go there next. So this casting move is one that we haven't seen too much yet today, and this is going to be a very important move for their games going forward. Um, we're going to pull up the next round. And can you see what the standings are right now, Gabe?
At the moment, no.
I'm
But
not sure if you can see the output of our live stream.
yes, I can see the output.
Do you see the cross table there?
Yes. But it isn't updated for me as yet.
Okay. I'm going to make the board fit again. And then we can start taking a look at third round.
Oh, Design versus Brandon.
All right. What do you think? There's one thing I immediately notice when I see this position, and this is a very important thing that will decide a lot of what's gonna come. I see two big pieces have already left the board. And when queens are not on the board, that means we're in something that we call an end game. An end game is when the kings can safely start uh, attacking enemy pieces or getting into the middle of the board, so they become pieces that can really help in an attack on the enemy position. And I don't know what's the count right now. Who's up here?
Brandon is up at the moment +3.
I think he
With
has two knights and a bishop.
yes.
Black has two bishops. Well, he's trying to get one of the knights back. Let's see if Brandon
Oh,
did see that, and he captured the pawn, and he's
with
backed up by the rook.
with a threat to the rook as well.
Yeah, but now what's he gonna do next? Because Design defended his rook by moving away. He's attacking the knight, but if you look behind the knight, you've got a white rook, and that white rook has no protection. So if this knight moves away, then the black rook will come down and take the right rook. So I think Design actually found a great defense. Do you see a way for white to defend against rook takes knight?
Currently, no. It looks like there isn't any way. If he takes, he wins a piece. I
Yeah.
mean, if the rook takes back, then the king is able to take, and now he just won 2 pieces for one. So
So this is what we call a 2-on-1 attack or twofold attack. Black has two pieces attacking one knight, and the knight has only one protector, which is so now it's 2 against 1. King and rook against rook, and all that's not good news for the knight. And the worst thing he can do is move it. Alright, he played a great move. He did see the problem, and he moved his rook to a square where he has backup. So the knight can move next, but it's black's turn. Will black take the knight? Because now he can, and the next turn the knight might escape. Right, he did
oh,
not. But is there a way to escape? Can the knight escape?
yes. Oh no. Actually, no, because there's a rook on that fifth rank. So if the knight tries to retreat to g5, it'll be captured by the rook.
Yeah, but there's actually a very tricky thing going on. If the knight retreats and the rook takes, and this rook takes, then this bishop opens up to the rook.
Mm.
So he could have actually escaped, but it was a very tricky escape. That would have been unbelievable if he would have found that. But actually he played a very good move. Oh, he got it even better. He used his knight to attack that rook. It's a counter attack, and the rook moved to the square where it should not move to, because there it's a square where the knight can take it. So I think Brandon actually found a very clever defense, and Jay Zion fell for it. But will he see it? Will Brandon see that he can take this rook? We'll take. We'll wait for White's next move to see if he spotted that, and then we'll take a look at another game. It's a very important moment in the game. If White can take that rook, he's in good shape.
So while we're waiting for White's next move, Jen, can you just give us a little run through of your career as a chess player and international master?
Yeah, so I started. I learned the game of chess when I was very young. I was maybe like 5 years old, and I was lucky that my father was actually a very good chess player. I come from the Netherlands in Europe, and I started liking the game of chess as well, and I started playing a lot. I wasn't, I wasn't really particularly good in the first 5 or 10 years that I was playing chess. I just liked it and I played a lot. And all of a sudden, things just started happening. And I got into a situation where I could battle to become the best player, the best junior player in my country. And the first time I did that, I got lucky and I became a national champion. And at that point, I just wanted to play more and more. And I got opportunities to play in a world championship, a European championship, and I thought this was going to be my life. I was going to be a professional chess player, and I played a lot. I got to know a lot of people. I was lucky to travel to all kinds of places. But at some point, it turned out spending a year in a hotel room, playing game after game, that was just, you have to be a special kind of person to do that, I think. And I got more interested in teaching chess. So that's sort of where I started transitioning from a chess player to a chess teacher. But the thing with chess is, once you learn it and you like it, it will be with you for the rest of your life. And I still play like 30 or 40 bullet games every day on the internet. And I just like to look at chess whenever I can. Here I see that Brandon is doing a pretty good job. He just took a rook with his knight, but he still needs to get his rook and bishop that are sitting on their starting squares into their game. Where did you learn how to play chess, Gabe? You said you've been playing for 3 years, which is not long at all. I mean, I've been playing for more than 40 years.
I learned to play chess in elementary school. A chess coach had came, taught in my class for like a few seconds, and it was offered as an after-school event. So I went, I partaked, and just kept working and working and working on my game, playing over and over. I actually went to a tournament for the first time, I believe at the age of 8 or 9. Got completely destroyed and gave up my hopes on playing chess ever again. So,
But you managed to find your way back. How did that happen?
at the age of 16, I met Dig owner and Coach Dan, gave me the opportunity to play again, gave me the opportunity to scrimmage and learn the game and develop my game. Also assisted me to find a great chess coach, um, Josh, Coach Josh. And I just kept working on my game and working on my game. And suddenly we went to the first tournament in a Sheraton hotel. And I actually won my division for the unrated. And that just gave me the confidence to continue playing and continue to win more tournaments. I won a few dig tournaments. I won a few more hotel tournaments. And I'm just proud of the things I've accomplished so far within these 3 years.
I mean that's just unbelievable that in such a short time you managed to get your game, your level up that much. I mean, it sounds like you actually. It took me a lot longer to beat my first expert. I can tell you that. I've been at it for 40 years, but it was probably a good 10 years before I got close to that. So that's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Um, and I think if you play a lot and you put in time and you take opportunities that you manage to get, you can get pretty far. So I hope one of these players is also going to follow that path and and be a successful chess player, play in tournaments. And one of the things I like best actually is which is something I've been coaching chess for, well, what is it, almost 30 years now. And um, I'm always telling my students, you know what, uh, chess is a very good game. You will never be bored. You can always just play a game with anyone on the internet. You just pop up and you play a game. And um, if you play a lot and you get, to a decent level, you can also start teaching chess because there's always people that want to learn how to play chess. And chess teaching is just a great way to, do something that is fun to do, and you might as well get paid for it. So, for example, I'm very happy to see Coach Sean um, becoming a very successful chess teacher. And I don't. Do you also teach chess, Gabe, or not? Oh yeah, you haven't done that yet.
Yeah. I do also teach chess as well. I have a few classes, two within the week.
Yeah, if one of your viewers is interested in learning more, then you should check out Dig USA, um, who has a lot of chess teachers, and Gabe is one of them. What do you think about this game so far?
So far, I'm liking Black's aggression. It looks like White is on the receiving end, trying to build moves off of how Black is playing. So as of right now, White has the advantage, but Black seems to be having the momentum.
Yeah, I mean Black was like attacking pieces, attacking knights, but Brennan just found a great move. He's blocking the attack of the rook on the knight with his own rook, and I think if he manages to find rook takes bishop now, I think he'll probably prevail. There he goes. Um, so I think now Black's momentum is going to go down a little bit. He just played a great move. He is looking at the bishop and rook here, and he's splitting this bishop. That means that if the bishop moves away, the rook opens up and takes the other rook. So that's actually a pretty good move. So he's still keeping his momentum going. He's using his two pieces as best as he can. But if
Yes.
white plays well, then he should be able to prevail. Let's take a look at this game. Um, Actually, it was Michael we were looking at. Now we're looking at Brandon.
Okay.
Um, Mojib has 1 minute left, which is not a lot as we know. Um, do you like his position?
Um, Semi sort of. I like how he has Majeb has the bishops extremely active on the king's case. I just want to see that rook get in the game as well. Maybe moving it to the G file, giving it that open lane, or the F file, so it's able to attack the king. It looks like he's going back and forth for the stalemate. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so looks like Black wants to win the game. He could have kept going back and forth with the bishop to check the white king, and then the game could end in a tie. But he's now trying to use everything he has to go at the white's position.
Yeah.
And even though white is up What is he up? A rook and a knight. They are not doing anything. They're sitting in the back row, and pieces that are sitting in the back row. You know, when you're not attacking enemy pieces, you're not really using all the power you have. So uh, I like the way Black is trying to use his pieces to attack, and I agree that maybe this rook should come to the open F file and start going after this white king as well.
Yes.
Um, it's going to be pretty close because they're both down to about a minute, and at some point it's whoever makes the fastest move wins.
Black can definitely pull it off. Black can definitely pull it off if he cuts off the king's squares with the bishops and then bring that rook over. It would be checkmate after a block by the d2 bishop. But we're just waiting to see him execute as the rook eliminates that file that the bishop can take with c4. And now he brings over the rook to check.
I think he found a very good move. This king has to make a choice where to run. He's trying to block. Actually,
Yep.
I'm impressed with how many blocking defenses I've seen already. Even though he gives it the bishop, now he opens up his rook for the defense. And I'm quite impressed with that. Alright, discovered attack.
Oh,
The pawn
great
moves, the bishop
move.
opens up.
Absolutely great move. Another pawn push gets another check.
I'm afraid it's more than a check. I think it's checkmate if he moves the pawn up. White.
Agreed. Yes, it would be checkmate if he pushes the pawn once.
Um,
Decides to take and gets taken back.
yeah, I mean, he did the second best thing. He was going after the white rook. But he missed his golden opportunity. And now white is suddenly getting rid of those annoying bishops. But he doesn't have a lot of pieces left.
Looks like it's gonna come down to these side pawns. It's gonna be a race between those two. See
If whoever gets there first is in good shape, but will they get there in time? Black is only 7 seconds, white is 28, and it's clear that, okay, black now should just go for white's pawn. He should immediately try to take it, because if he takes that last pawn, he can no longer lose the game. If he runs out of time, the game will be a tie. And it's going to happen right about now. So when your opponent has only a king left and no other pieces, and you run out of time, you don't lose because we say that white has no checkmating material. White would never ever be able to get a checkmate anymore in this game because he only has the king. And that means that even though his opponent runs out of time, he still would not get the win. So that's why this game ended in a tie.
Great play
And
by Black for that game. Great play.
I see that Jason against JB is also ended in a tie. We can take a look at that game.
Yep.
Gabe, can you ask Matt to update the score in the Google Docs?
Will do.
I pulled up the game between Jason and Javius, and this is a very long game, one of the longest games I've seen yet, and I just want to go to the end to start and see why this game has ended. Gabe, why did this game stop? Why did this automatically become a draw?
Insufficient material to checkmate.
So what does that mean? Can you explain what
Pretty much, it
insufficient
just means
material means?
insufficient material means that it's unable to check and checkmate the king. So pretty much because of the fact that he only has a bishop and a king is unable to checkmate
Yeah.
a king at the same time. Yeah.
So white would never, ever, ever, ever be able to get checkmated in this position, and black would also not be able to get checkmated. So the game just ends in a tie. Um, and it must mean that they played a pretty good game if they go all the way to the wire.
Uh,
Let's take,
Jen,
yeah,
I've been told that the scores have been updated. It just
okay.
has to be updated on the screen.
All right, let me take a look at that. Hold on.
Okay.
All right, so I see the scores now. Um, the final score is in the last column. I see Jay Sean won his first two games and then had a tie. And he's got 2.5 points. And JVS also won two games and had a tie and is at 2.5 points. So basically, the game we were just looking at the end um, was the game for first place after 3 rounds, and they played it to the wire. In third place, I see Jay Zion has 2 wins and 1 loss, and in fourth place is Michael with win and 2 losses. So I believe we're going to have a semi-final now with the top four, and we will start looking at the games as soon as they kick off. Gabe, do you know when we can expect the semi-final to begin?
Not as yet. As soon as I get the word, I will let you know.
All right. So so far they played games where they started with 10 minutes each. I believe for the semi-finals they'll play 5 minutes each. So the games will be pretty fast. And I'm not sure if they have a lot of experience with that yet. I have a lot of experience with that. Like I said, I've played over 40 years, and I play about 30 to 40 bullet games per day. What that means is my favorite game is where we start our game with just 1 minute each on the clock, and in that 1 minute we have to try to beat the opponent. And most of those games end in a time loss. Someone will not be able to get their moves off anymore within 1 minute. Um, and it's a very exciting game, but not for everyone. Before that, I used to play a lot of Blitz, which means that you get like something like 5 minutes for the whole game. So I've also a lot of experience in that. But I'm not sure if these players have ever done that. So I'm curious to see how they'll go about. Um, so far, I'm very impressed with their games. Like I said yesterday, we looked at a lot of attack and defense of pieces, and we especially looked at blocking attacks. And I've seen blocks in almost every single game so far.
Jen,
Yeah.
uh, the next round will be starting soon. It will be 10-minute matches, as well as our video has been taken off. We have to update that.
Okay.
There we go. We're back on.
Yeah. Are we back? Is our video
Yes.
back? Very good. I'm just learning as I go along. Um, now I understand why some people at stream have like 3 or 4 screens surrounding themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and let's see. Do you know what time they're going to start, Gabe?
I believe it'll be around the 11 o'clock hour.
All right, so that's just a few minutes away.
Yes.
I'm going to see.
So, Jen,
Yeah.
would you like to tell us about one of the highest rated players you played and how that match went?
Um, yeah, I used to, I sort of stopped playing a lot of tournaments about 10, 15 years ago. Um, the best player I ever played was Gary Kasparov. Um, he was a world champion from 1984 until 2000, and it was 1987. It's when I was very young, and he's considered to be one of the best chess players that ever lived. Um, and I once got a chance to play him because um, we had a mutual friend, and he was visiting his friend in Israel, and I was in the US, and we were on the Internet Chess Club, the ICC, and my friend was on, and he said, "Guess who's visiting me?" And well, I guessed wrong. I didn't know, and he said, "The big boss is visiting me," which was enough for me to understand that Kasparov was visiting my friend. And he said, "Do you want to play some games?" And he didn't have to ask twice. So I said, "Sure." So we were on ICC and we played two Blitz games. Um, and I was extremely excited. I was afraid I was not going to be able to move pieces anymore uh, out of nervousness. But we played two games. I remember the first game, I thought I was in big trouble, but managed to hold on for a long time and was a bit surprised by that, but lost anyway. In the second game, it was just unbelievable. He after like 10 moves, I just felt uh, someone was grabbing me by my coat and not letting go of me anymore, and he just ground me down badly. It was an ugly game, but I mean, it was one of the best days of my life because how many chances do you get to play against a world champion? Um, I also actually worked for him for his company for a couple of years for Kasparov Chess Online, and this was a great way for me to meet a lot of very strong players and people that are important in the world of chess. So um, I am extremely grateful for those opportunities, and in a bit very lucky as well to get to know him and to just be around such great chess players.
That's an
Um,
amazing opportunity that comes to trust. Amazing opportunity that you're able to travel the world and play such great advanced players. At the moment, I just got the word that the semifinals has started.
all right,
Go ahead and take a look at that.
I'm gonna pull up the games. Let's see. So here is one game. This is um, Michael playing with black against Javius with white. The game just started. I can already see in just the first couple of moves. There's just no way these players have not played a bit of chess before.
This game looks very structured. I'm liking the way this looks. It looks like Javius is looking to castle on the queen side actually, as well as Michael. Both of them.
Yeah, they only have to move their queen up, and then their king can castle with the other rook. But now Javius moved his last bishop out, and he could also castle kingside. But I don't think I've anyone seen anyone castle yet, so um, I'm curious to see if they will in this game.
Great pins by Javius. on two knights, pinning one knight to a check and pinning the other knight to a queen take.
Um, so far, it's looking like a very good game. They developed all their bishops and knights, and now they start an attack of the pawn on the bishop, and Michael should respond to that some way. He can either take the knight and trade it. That's a 3-for-3 trade, which is
Which
very
he,
good. That just happened. Um, and I'm curious to see, because now is sort of when black needs to do something else. He cannot move this knight because it's pinned to the king, and he cannot move this knight because it's pinned to the queen. So he decided to use his own bishop and pin white's knight. We
yes.
could very well see that all the bishops and knights are going to get traded here.
I advise that Michael look to castle king side, releasing that pin from his knight.
Yeah, if this king castles, then the knight is suddenly not pinned anymore and can move. So far, they're really fighting the bishops and knights. You see, there's another trade. Now, how will we capture? You recaptured with a very good piece, the queen, and now the queen starts aiming at things as well. And there we've got our first check. Will Javius move the king or block the check? That is the big
Best
question.
bet is to block the check, and so he will be able to castle. But if both queens are taken off the board, oh, he decides to move.
He moves his king, but actually it's a tricky move because as I think, was it him in the previous game or was that Jason? I forgot. But now that the king has moved over, this rook can come towards the middle of the board and line up with the queen and king.
Yes.
And well, there we
Hopefully
go.
he
Very, very good move.
the queenside castle.
He got his king out of there, so now the queen can move away from the path of the rook and be safe. I mean, you called it. You said I think black is looking to castle queenside. I wasn't sure, but you're right, and he did find it.
Yes.
Now, if he manages to get his queen out of the path of the rook, he's looking in decent shape, but white's position also still looks good.
I'm loving this game right now. It's looking very
It's a very good game.
yes.
He did see his queen needed to escape from the e-file, and he did so. Well, this move is a bit mysterious. Not sure what he wants. Maybe it was a mouse slip. Like sometimes you can just click a piece and release it before you know it. I think Michael played a good move. He's now offering to trade rooks, and Javier says, no, no, not today.
Not looking to go. Not looking to go.
Let's take a quick look at the other game.
Okay.
This is Jason with white against Jazian, and I do see there's a lot of action going on. I see white's queen is gone, but Jason just took black's queen, so now we have a position without queens. And
Deshaun just gave away a rook. I believe he thought the knight was protecting it, but it doesn't look so.
yeah, Jason is down a rook, but he just took it.
Captured it
So
back.
he's making a big comeback. He took a queen and a rook in the last couple of moves. He
Now
checked
his
the
next
black
move,
king.
he does have a fork. Deshaun has a fork if he can find it between the knight and the bishop. Yep.
He did find it. Very
Knight.
good move. Now the king has to move, and then the white knight can take the black bishop. Um, when we first started looking, Jason was down a queen and a rook, and then in 3-4 moves, he's just turning this around.
Looking like a great man.
Alright, he maybe didn't see this yet, but actually he keeps going. I mean, he's using his knight to attack, his rook to attack. Now the other knight is also getting close to the black king. Oh, a tricky move here by Jazian. He's attacking that rook. Will Jason see it? He doesn't want to lose that rook. He did.
Check comes in.
Alright, he will have to probably move away. So
It's
let's
looking
see.
like Deshaun was looking to eliminate as many squares as he can before he brought in that rook, but his hand was forced. So now he's looking for a way to attack while being attacked at the same time. Great move with the check. It's protected by the knight. All the
Yeah.
with an attack with the bishop.
I
So he
mean,
has
the
to.
idea is very good to keep attacking that king, but the bishop could move backward and
Yes.
defend. It's not an easy move to see, so I'm not so sure design will see that. Backward moves are always a little, well, there you go. They're always a little tricky to see. You always want to go forward, but he did see it, and now Jay Sean's uh, assault on the Black King might come to an end. I mean, he played 5, 6, 7 great moves, just bringing one piece into the attack after the other, and then Jazian found his one great backward move, and all of a sudden, it could be that Black is just getting the upper hand. Alright, he keeps going. He still has 2 knights left and a couple of pawns, so he keeps checking and see how far he gets. You see
Now,
these
if I'm just
knights?
on, I'm not looking to trade any pieces off the board, so I like that check move.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yes, instead of taking the bishop back because we're already down pieces, so we're not looking to trade. We're looking to win pieces.
Yeah, you need to keep as many pieces on the board as you can with white, because if you trade your last 2 knights, it will be just down to your king and pawns. Um, it's still a very, very interesting fight. Um, you see, this black king is going deep
Attack
into
mode.
white's position. That's something that usually you don't want to do when there's queens on the board. But when queens are off the board, that's something you can do, because there's just not that many strong white pieces left to attack this king. So actually, I really like what Design is doing here. He is now using his king as his main attacker. You see his other pieces are still sitting on the back row, but that king is just keeps on going. Will he take the pawn? I don't know.
In my opinion, I actually don't like what Jazion is doing because I feel like he's putting himself in harm's way. If Jashawn is able to maneuver and get those 2 knights back in the game, which is what he's doing, he can be able to force a check or checkmate by eliminating some of the squares. But it still looks like Black has the option to maneuver out of the.
Well, I think you had a good point there. I just saw a move that where black could have lost in one turn because of the what you were saying. But
Yeah,
if he would have gone to the corner, it would have been checkmate. But he decided to maybe it was best to run back to his own pieces. So
yeah.
Jason is playing a very dangerous game, but so far so good. I mean, and this rook move is also pretty good because now this rook can maneuver out on the 6th rank. I think it's a great game. Now that the Black King is running back, he's trying to use his pawns, and I'm guessing he's maybe trying to get a pawn to the other side.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. As as Jazion comes down with his rook, it's looking like he's looking to eliminate the pawns off the back rank, but Jashawn protects one of his pawns. Um, if I'm Jazion, I'm looking to get my rook on that E file, or maybe even pin the knight to the king.
I think those are all good moves. Design, I think he's looking, well, you know what, if I win this white pawn here, I want my H pawn to become a queen as soon as possible. Um, Now it's getting a little tricky. White had a very nasty trick um, that could have been a big problem for black, but maybe we'll get a chance to look at that after. He took a pawn here, but the knight is stopping that pawn, so this knight is doing a great job making sure this pawn cannot come across and promote to a queen. Um, I think the momentum is going with Jezai now. He's managed to bring his rook and bishop into the game, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden these knights that used to be harassing this black king, they're going.
Oh, great take. It's looking like the game is moving in Jazion's favor.
And he's still got enough time, and I think he just wants to get rid of that last knight.
Yep. He's probably gonna double down with the pin. Oh.
Let's see if design finds this double attack. Alright, he figured I want to get that pawn. That's pretty good.
Yep.
And there goes the knight again, attacking that king. Maybe he's gonna try to get this knight. I know that would be impressive if he would find the idea to get that knight to maybe get rid of this knight blocking the pawn. I think we should take a look at the other game.
All right.
That one is going in Black's favor, and a lot has happened here. Let's see, we're looking at it from Black's perspective. Now I'll flip the board, a bite. What's going on? It's it's a huge battle. I think Black is up one pawn only, a 1 point difference.
Yes.
And he's trying to use that 1 point difference to make it a 9 point difference.
But at the
If he
moment,
manages to do that, alright, it's time to
Ooh.
bring back the rook. He found it. Great move. This rook has to come down
Yep.
and make sure that pawn does not turn into a queen. But I think, oh, that's a great move. Look at that. He's attacking the rook, and he's guarding
And
the promotion
protected
square.
as well.
What do you think? Should Black just get a queen or not yet?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Rook over to the A file, pushing down and then getting the queen. It was worth giving up the knight. That was a great move by Black.
Yeah, now Black has a queen against a bishop and a rook each. So now Black is in good shape. But look at what Javier did. He's lining up his pieces on this pawn on c7. I'm guessing he's gonna take it. So he's not just giving up yet. Now you have to be careful. This king, if it moves into the diagonal of the bishop, it could be a little tricky. But let's see what he does.
Oh, he does move into the diagonal.
Yeah,
Let's see.
it doesn't really quite work yet because there's still a black rook that can take that bishop.
Oh yeah.
But he has to be careful lining up his king and queen on the same diagonal.
It looks like he's going to attempt to threaten the rook, and then after that he's gonna check the king and queen. I can see it coming already.
Yeah, I think that's what he's looking at. All right, what do you
Oh,
think?
great
Good
move,
move or not? Yeah, great move.
Oh.
All right, now I think Javier is in some trouble. He's losing.
Give up his rook, which is a good move as well, leaving only the queen on the board. Nice.
So, what do you think is Javier's only chance at this point?
Creating a stalemate for himself. Getting in the corner, getting in the sides, and hiding behind those pawns. That's his best bet.
He needs to actually try to get rid of everything that can still move besides his king. And then he's got a chance of getting trapped without getting checked. And that's called a stalemate. And then the game is a tie. So the only other chance is time, but Michael still has a minute and 40 left, so that's quite a bit. And he's playing quickly.
And I believe he's going to start to look to push down that pawn to get another piece.
Yeah, if he can get a second queen.
But it looks like as if he's just going back and forth with the checks now.
Well,
doesn't have.
That's not going to help him win, but there he goes.
There it goes. There it goes.
He finds it. We're 2 moves away from a queen and a check. Alright, good move. Good move by Javier. It's the only chance. Just move those pawns and yep. Now he has his own passed pawn that will never meet another pawn again. And Javier,
I don't believe he's gonna be able to pull that off due to the fact that Javier has a queen.
Yeah. Well, he has no other chance. He just has to try it. But I think there we go. Pawn will probably move up, and black will get another queen.
Yeah.
And now the queen wants to come back and start checking this king. If you can work together with two queens, then the game will be over soon. This is going to be pretty exciting because the game is going to end in a win for black, or white
Yeah.
is going to escape with a draw.
Let's push up that pawn, maybe.
Well, this other
Uh,
queen needs to get into the action.
mm,
It's not easy. You just have to. Oh, that's a pretty good move.
Good move. Checkmate in one.
He's threatening to take the pawn. Now that white gets a queen, okay. He
Oh,
if he gets, oh, I see what he's doing.
I don't know if he can. I don't like that idea because he only has 37 seconds, but he
Yeah,
might
I
be
know,
able.
but he's going fast. He's gonna get a queen in the next turn, and then he's gonna come down and either checkmate or stalemate. Which one will it be? Checkmate or stalemate? He's gonna start with some checks. So every time he checks, he will definitely not give a stalemate. I think. What's he gonna do? I
Move.
found a great move. He's gonna go there and there, or he's gonna use a different. There he goes. I mean, that was an impressive game.
Great
Very
game.
impressive game.
Thank you.
So it looks like Michael will go to the final. We'll go quickly to the other game that finished as well. And it's checkmate. Design won that game. Queen checkmating the king, held by the bishop, held by the rook. Let's go a little bit further back. Can you see when we can expect the final to start?
Yes, I will find out as soon as I do. I will let you know.
And in the meantime, I'll go back and see where we left it. Oh yeah, there were some interesting moments. So here I thought Design was doing a good job with his active king. We just it's getting a little, he's taking some risk moving that king towards the white pieces, and I think you're right. If he would have moved this king into the corner here, then we would have gotten a very special checkmate.
Yeah.
A checkmate with two knights is quite rare. It doesn't happen often, but this would be a good example where the king makes sure that this black king cannot escape, and these two knights, they're taking all the other squares. So this would be bad news for the black king, but um, Design saw that and he decided not to go there. Actually, now I lost the rest of the game. I might have to pull it again. One moment.
All right. So I've just gotten word that our final round will be starting at 11:30. Josiah versus Michael.
Alright, we have 10 minutes. Let me,
Now, I've been loving both of their plays during this tournament. Um, I'm placing my bet on Michael to pull out the win. I love his aggressive play. He plays very structured and is always looking to attack and keep the foot on the neck of his opponent. So I have Michael going for the win of the finals. What do you think?
well, I don't know. I mean, I've seen some good games. If you're going with Michael, I'm going with Design.
All right.
I really liked this last game. I pulled it up again.
All right. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah. So we saw this moment where Design had a choice. He could either go into the corner or he could go up. And it was a difference between win and lose. If he goes into the corner, he gets checkmated by the two knights, but he walked out of the corner, which was a very good thing. And he got one more check, and the black king kept running back to his own pieces and to safety. And now Jishan thought, well, if my knights can do it, let's see if my pawns can do it. So I really like that idea. And Jesian said, well, I've got an extra rook, better make it count. And he did. So Design is just bringing out his extra pieces now and starts taking white's pieces. And he's ready to take that last knight. And Jason is trying to keep his game alive. So here is a moment where I thought Jason should have tried to help his pawn that's almost on the other side.
Sorry to interject, Jen.
Yeah.
May we update the standings on the stream, please, and just highlight the names of the last two in the finals. And really looking back at Design's game, you can see that you can't really count him out. He has great defense. He's good on doing great defensive moves very quickly. So this is going to be an interesting finals, very interesting finals. I'm ready to see it once 11:30 comes on.
I think Matt's working on the standings. Let's look at that game again. So I think Jason had maybe a small chance here still if he would move the knight to attack that knight that's blocking the white pawn from becoming the queen. For example, if he takes back, now white has to find a very good move to stop this pawn from queening. He still has two ways to do it. He can use his rook, or he can use his bishop and protect this square where the pawn wants to go to. But that was probably the best chance now. Let's see how the game continued. Oh, he took that rook, and then he figured, you know what, let me push my other pawns. So that's what he did. He just kept pushing his pawns to the other side of the board and then went for the final attack. And he did that pretty efficiently. It was a good game. There was, let's see, I also saw maybe a trick early on in the game. Let's see if I remember where that happened.
The standings should be updated now.
All right.
You can take a look at that.
Let's see. Yeah, I have some issues as maybe you can see. Let's try to fix that. Alright, I'm going to briefly pause the stream, and we'll be back in a minute or so to look at the last game.